Welcome to episode 3 of the Eras Tour, Olga's version. In this series, I am basically making a vintage-inspired dress for every single Taylor Swift album. And this is episode 3, where I'm going to be making a dress for Speak Now. Speak Now is Taylor's third album. It's still in her country era. I think this is her last true country album. I was heavily inspired by the cover of the album as well as all of the dresses that Taylor wore at the Eras Tour for this segment. They were all poofy, they were all sparkly, they were all in purple or tones of purple or tones of blue pretty much. But I didn't want to make something too ball gowny because I like to make my cosplays very practical and very much things that I can actually wear in my daily life, or maybe not daily because this is going to be a party dress. I just think it's going to be something that I could actually wear in my life to a party rather than like a big poofy ball gown that I probably won't have an occasion to wear. Also, I think a ball gown is going to be very difficult to store in my apartment, so I just don't think it's practical to make one. My design very much reflects that. This is what I ended up going with. Essentially, my idea is to make an overlay dress. So there's going to be a base dress, as you can see, this like darker area, and then there's going to be an overlay, so like a second dress that I put over it that is going to be made of sheer fabric so that you can see the dress underneath, and then there's areas like the sleeves and this top of the bodice where there will only be the sheer fabric. Where's my other slipper? For fabric, I'm going to be using this beautiful lavender taffeta. I love this color. I think it's a very nice purple. I mean, it's a lavender, but I think taffeta is a great fabric for party dresses because it has that like nice sheen, which is very fancy, but it still has this like lovely texture. Like it's very crisp and it holds shape really well. And as you can see, it's very wrinkly. I have pre-washed it, but I haven't pressed it yet. So you can tell that it does hold shape really well. It really adds like a lot of volume to skirts. Anyway, so that's for my base layer. And then for the overlay, I'm going to be using this beautiful glitter tulle. It looks very dark when it's all like folded up like that, but when it's just a single layer, it's a lot more subtle. And I think it looks really lovely over the taffeta. It darkens the taffeta a little bit. It gives it that nice sparkle without being like too dark. So I think this is gonna look really, really nice together. Both of these fabrics were sent to me for free by Minerva, so I have them linked below if you wanna go and check that out. There is glitter everywhere already. I didn't pre-wash the glitter tulle for two reasons. One, I don't think I'm ever going to wash the overlay, honestly, or not in like a washing machine. If I ever wash it, it'll probably be, you know, alcohol under the armpits, like in a costume department, or I might have it dry cleaned eventually, but like, it's not something I'm going to be wearing often. It's not something I'm going to be washing often. Also, I just didn't want to have all that glitter in my washing machine and then have that glitter go onto my clothes all the time. So glitter tulle is notorious for shedding glitter everywhere. I already am covered in glitter. I actually looked online for some ways to kind of help this and kind of like make this a little bit less annoying. The one thing that I did see is covering it in hairspray. What I saw online is that you lay the fabric down and then you spray it with hairspray so that the glitter sticks to the fabric better. Supposedly it won't come off. You can wash it off, I guess, if you wash the thing. So I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna give it a healthy spritz of hairspray everywhere, hopefully. Let's go try it out. Okay, I don't think that really fixed it, but I definitely think it makes it better. I have so much glitter all over me. So initially when I first started handling the fabric to lay it on the little clothesline, it kind of seemed like I was murdering Tinkerbell. And by the time I'd done all of the hairspraying and I was kind of folding it up, it was more like I was just shaking her with fervor rather than, you know, eviscerating, which I think is an improvement. I still like shook the fabric a little bit to like test it, and glitter still comes off. There's still loose glitter, but I think it's a little bit better. I don't know. I think this is one of those things where it's going to be annoying to have glitter everywhere, but it's also just, that's what happens when you work with certain fabrics. They shed or they have loose glitter or whatever. You have to kind of work around it and be okay with that. If you absolutely hate glitter and don't want it in your house, this fabric's not for you. I do think that the glitter is big enough that it actually is very easy to vacuum and very easy to like dust up. With the construction of this dress is I'm going to make them separate dresses. So usually overlay dresses, and I have made an overlay dress on the channel. I'll link it so you can watch it if you want to. So that dress is like one dress, but I actually want to make this into two pieces. I want to have the base dress, and then I want to have the overlay that I can put on or not, and then I can choose and mix and match, and I think that will give me more versatility. I think it'll be more fun. Yeah, I've never done an overlay dress like that, so I think it'll be exciting and fun to do it and to figure out how to do it together. For pattern, my favorite, Gertie's Ultimate Dress Book. Hi, sir. For the base layer, I want to do pretty much a carbon copy of the dress I made for Fearless. I really loved that neckline, but obviously without all the decorations. For the overlay, I want to do something sort of similar to this. I don't want to add the collar. I don't want to add the sleeve cuffs. And I think I actually want to change the sleeves because I want something with a bit more flounce. But I definitely want this bodice. I just need to fit it to my body, and obviously not this skirt. In my original design, I added a sash for the waistband, but I'm actually on the fence about that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through with the sash or not. I think I wanna make the dress and then decide if I want to add that decoration or not. The only part I really need to toile is the bodice for the overlay. So I started by copying out the pattern from the book onto my pattern paper and cutting it out. For the sleeves, I want to use the sleeve pattern that I drafted a couple of years ago, so I cut that out of an old bed sheet to mock up. I actually didn't have enough of my old bed sheet to cut out the bodice, so I took the mock-up of the debut dress apart, which I'd made from this same bed sheet fabric, and then I used the skirt pieces to cut out my bodice mock-up, and then I started sewing it. I have made the bodice. I chopped off the seam allowance on the sleeves so I can better imagine it when I'm wearing them, because obviously tulle doesn't fray. It'll just look neater if I just cut it nice and straight and leave it raw. And I went ahead and did the same thing around the neckline for the same reasons. I am going to add a hook and eye closure to this later, but I just want to see at this point if this is a big enough opening or not. And I haven't added the sleeves to the bodice yet. I want to fix the fit issues with this first, and then I will add the sleeves. Okay, I think I've identified a problem. Okay, so issue number one, I don't think I'm going to be able to put this on over my head without a zipper. So I think I need to rethink the closure because that was really hard to get on. I can tell that it's a little bit loose, so I'm going to have to tighten it. I mean, you'll be able to see the zipper, but that's a bummer, but we're going to have to do that. I put a pin at the neck here so that it doesn't open up, so I can actually get a good idea of how this is fitting. I think I need to change this armhole. I think it's just like a little bit. But when I move my arms forward, I can feel it like kind of digging in. Now I think this is too long. My waistline is like right there. I think it's a little bit more than the seam allowance that's going into the waistline. It's about 4 centimeters. My seam allowance is 1.5. I feel like there's too much fabric here. I think I need to tighten this one. Yeah, that's better. Oh, that's poking my boob, but I still feel like there's a little bit too much here. But then there's going to be too much fabric here still. I don't know. I think I'm going to try tightening these darts a little bit and see if like what happens. So I'm going to try these changes and then we can reconvene and see if it's fitting better. Okay. I went ahead and redrafted this in a smaller size because I was noticing that a lot of it was too big. So I went back to the book to have a look at how I could get rid of that, like that excess fabric here, because I was still getting that. I went to the chart of the sizing and I realized that my bust is like 33, 34 inches. And I was making something for like a 36-inch bust. It was always not going to fit me. The only problem is that for this bust size, pattern originally also needs you to have a smaller waist than what I do. So my waist is for a size 6 6 and my bust is for a size 4. I did try to add the zipper. I could not get this over my head because the waist is now even smaller. When I close it up a little bit, I'm noticing that the bust fits way nicer, but it is a little too tight around the waist. So what I'm going to do actually is like around here, a little bit below the dart, I'm going to add more seam allowance, I guess. I don't know. I'm probably going to add like a centimeter to each side. I don't think I need to shorten it anymore, so that's great. I don't know why, but the sleeves don't feel as tight in this one, so that's weird. The biggest size zipper I have that is an invisible zip is this, which I think is 40 centimeters. In order to get it to be right at the top of this bodice, the very edge of the zipper is at the waist, which means I still can't get it over my head. I need it to open past the waist to get it over my head. So I've decided that I'm going to add the zipper like lower down, probably at the same height as the other dress is, and then still add the hook and eye closure at the top. And I think that'll fix my issues. Why is it so dark? Is it because it's nighttime? I've added that little bit of extra seam allowance at the side, and I did go in and add the sleeve. The amount of poof is absolutely heavenly. And usually when I use the sleeve pattern, I also gather around the bottom and add a cuff so that it's like nice and poofy. But I don't want to do that here. I was playing around with the length. I'm gonna say like 4.5 to 5 centimeters, and I do like this length a lot better. I think this is gonna be more like what I sketched out, so I'm really happy with the sleeve. The sleeve is a go. Hello. So I'm just gonna add those changes to the paper before I forget, and then I can come back tomorrow where we're gonna start sewing up the dress. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really sure where I left off with making this. When I started working on this video was, I think, like early December, but it's the new year. I think like some other stuff came up, like life stuff, and then I had a flare up, and then it was Christmas break, and then I got the, I think you call it flu A, and it's just like a very strong influenza that really knocks you off your feet. And especially if you're like me and you have pre-existing conditions, especially pre-existing respiratory condition, then it really just makes you very sick. I had that for like 2 weeks. I think my voice still sounds kind of crappy, and I'm still like more out of breath than I usually am. But you know, I think I'm recovering and I'm doing a little bit better. I have all of my fabric cut. I'm going to mark everything, and then once I've got everything marked up, I will work on the dresses separately. I had my taffeta offcuts saved to use them to cut bias binding for the boning channels on the bodice and to hem the skirt later, so that's what I'm doing here. To mark the tulle, I cut the notches to know which sides match up with each other. And then to mark the darts, I placed each tulle layer over the pattern paper and stitch marked the darts with contrasting thread. I'm using the fabric scissors to weigh it down so it doesn't move around, and then tracing over the dart lines with my needle and thread. Yesterday, I finished marking everything and pinning everything together. First things first, I have to set up the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew all of the seams for the bodices and sew my pockets into my skirt seams. Then I can add my boning channels to one of the bodices, add the boning, sew the 2 layers of bodice to each other, sew the side seams of the skirt, and sew skirt to bodice, and then add the zipper. So I finished the lilac layer. I mean, I have to hem it still, so I haven't quite finished. I just want the hem to drop, and then I will hem it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I am quite out of breath and like quite tired for today. I think I did really good progress today, so I think I'm gonna call it a day for now. I'm enjoying working on this. I'm having fun, but too much fun is too much for my lungs, apparently. It's now been 2 days, I think, since I last updated you. And I finished the lilac dress, and I actually finished it this time. So yesterday I evened out the hem, and then I added the bias binding and did all the pressing and stuff, and then, you know, stitched it by hand on the inside. So the base dress is done, and now I can go ahead and work on the tulle layer. I have got my darts pinned, so I'm gonna start with that, and then I'm gonna start putting everything together, stitching the side seams and the shoulder seams on the bodice. Then I have to make up the sleeves, and that's essentially just going to be adding a gathering stitch along the shoulder and then stitching the underarm seam of the sleeve together. and then adding the sleeves to the bodice. For the skirt, I cut out 2 of each of the skirt pieces, like double what I need in the tulle layer. And I did this for 2 reasons. One, because I thought it would make for like more volume. So I had enough fabric to cut the skirt twice. I'm not going to use this fabric for anything else, and I really don't want it in my sewing room for like an extended period of time because there's going to be glitter on everything it touches. I decided to use up as much fabric as possible. What I'm going to do is sew all of the skirt panels to each other and just gather it at the waistline and sew that to the bodice. And then once I have the dress together, add my zipper so that it matches up with the zipper on the lilac layer, so that's like in the same spot. Now, because I still had a little bit of fabric left, I did decide to go ahead and add a sash. But with that done, it's time for the reveal. All right, so wrap up time. I honestly, when I put this on, I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. It is exactly what I imagined in my head. It's exactly what I was trying to recreate and do. I don't know if it looks that much like the sketch. That speaks more to like my ability to draw than like what my brain is doing. So let's talk about the different components of the dress. The lilac layer turned out really, really good. It's a very simple dress, but I think that will mean that I actually get to wear it more. It's a really nice dress. I've made this dress before. The only thing I have to say kind of like negatively, but like it's not even negative, is really that it's the same pattern for the Fearless dress. I think I've lost weight in between making the Fearless dress and this one. It's too big, especially in the chest area. I don't feel like it's very secure, and I did feel like the Fearless dress was very secure, and it was like nice, like a nice tightness, which is something you want when you're talking about a strapless dress. But I don't think it's about the dress because the fabrics are like a very similar weight. So I think if I put on the Fearless dress right now, it would be too big as well. As for the purple layer, oh my God, it is both so pretty and also so impractical and so uncomfortable. This moment right here was where I realized that I had planned to cut like slashes into the side seams so that I could still access my pockets underneath, but I forgot to do that. It fits really well. I think the sleeves are absolute perfection, and I love the poofiness of the skirt. I did leave it longer than the other dress. I did that for 2 reasons. One reason was I didn't want to trim it because I didn't know if it was gonna look really straight, and I wasn't gonna hem it, so I wanted it to look really nice and neat. And the other reason was because I do like how it looks, that it's a little bit longer. I love all of the like floofiness. I think the belt is so cute. It really adds a little bit of extra like magicalness to it. It adds a little bit of extra whimsy at the back. I did have to add the zipper, which isn't like, it's not invisible. Obviously you can see the zipper very clearly, but I think it's like one of those compromises that you have to make in order to be able to have this be practical. Yeah, there's glitter on everything, everywhere I've walked and everything I've touched since putting this on. Storing this is going to be a fun challenge for me. The fabric is not comfortable. So on this bit here where it's just the fabric, it's like a little bit uncomfortable, but wherever you have seams or like the edges of the fabric, it's really uncomfortable. It's just, you can feel the seams. And it's mostly the top because obviously on the bottom I have the skirt and stuff. Other than that, I think it's beautiful and I think it looks really good on me and I feel pretty. I feel like a princess in it. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me while I made this dress. I hope you're looking forward to the next ones in this series, although I am going to be taking a hiatus from this series for a little while. I think I have the design ready for the next like 3 dresses. I haven't like sat down to find the fabric and order all of the bits that I might need. If you want to get these fabrics for yourself, you can go on Minerva.com. I will leave the links to these fabrics and to whatever materials I use that I can link you to. Some of them are going to be affiliate links, but I will clearly mark those just so you know. If you want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, I post a few times a week. If you haven't already, you can also subscribe to the channel. I usually post a video every other Friday. If you want to support the channel, you can also leave me a tip on my Ko-fi page, and I have linked that below as well. You're such a good boy. You just like hanging out with me, huh? Oh yeah, there's freaking glitter all over your ears. Oh, buddy, we need to brush your hair. Well, I'm gonna go take the glitter off of my dog, and I will see you in my next video.